Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to do a quick rundown on the EMPEDC Ronin. So this is a knife, I believe this is a prototype, and this knife was on pre-order. I believe that closed already, but I'm sure they have more coming that they will sell once these come in, which is going to be, I think, in the next month or so. Shout out to EMPEDC. Thanks to John and Jamie for being awesome and for sending this my way to check out. This is a Best Tech OEM product, and I can pull the spec sheet here. I'm going to be passing this around as well as the Nimble X. Probably just going to put them together so that way they stay together as they go around. But it looks like you can get this in Elmax or Damasteel. You have a 3.35 inch blade, you have a 4.3 inch handle length, you have a 7.6 overall knife, you have a blade stock of 3.5 millimeters, you have a compound grind, hollow in the back, flat in the front, you have titanium milled to perfection, you have a weight of 3.6 ounces, feels, yeah, at least that light, if not lighter. T8 hardware all around. You have titanium clip and pivot collars. And then you have a Best Tech manufactured knife here. I'm guessing these were right around that $350 mark that EMPEDC seems to sit around right now, which is similar to, say, Vero and basically any boutique brand that is doing these premium builds. And I think it's worth every penny. It's just a matter of if the design is for you, right? Now, let's talk about aesthetics. So I think this is a cool looking knife. I mentioned this previously, but I've drawn up a knife that has similar overall silhouette. Obviously completely different because it has the EMP twist on everything. But a similar silhouette with this gnarly, thin Tanto grind. And then obviously a very thin handle to complement that. And it's really cool to see somebody, do it and, make their version of it. Mine didn't have the front flipper or the same kind of handle design or anything. It was just basically having this gnarly Tanto, which to me really reminded me, when I drew it, it really reminded me of the VDK Strix. And that's why I never pursued it, because I just thought it looked too much like that when I did it. But this is obviously different. But anyway, I just think it's cool because I kind of had a similar idea, and that it is very awesome to kind of feel it in the hand and see what it would be like. And it feels really good. So again, aesthetically, I'm a fan because of that. I'm not usually a fan of these crazy Tantos, but there's something about a thin one that does it for me. I don't know what it is. And then you have the EMP touch on things. I like this knife. One of the reasons I really like this knife is because it's different. It's not a Nimble, it's not a Relative. It's different to me than anything he's done. And I think that's really good for him to step outside of, once in a while. The Nimble is obviously just super popular, and it's dumb not to make more of them, obviously. But it's also cool to give a little variety to your customers and stuff like that. So I think he's doing the right thing here. So yeah, aesthetically, I think it's cool. The pivot collars are nice. This milling is absolutely stunning, and it's finished really well. Not a big fan of relief cuts that are out like this and then have like a triple cut. Just never really works well for me in pocket. You have a pretty tight clip here, but it actually works really well. I did test it, and it pops right over the seam in both my thicker area where I have kind of an extra knife reinforcement on my off-the-grid surplus pants, which I highly recommend if you're an EDC guy. And it also works really well on the kind of single normal seam. So the clip is actually really good, even though it looks like maybe with the milling and everything it wouldn't be. It works. And with the relief cuts, it works. So that's good. Blade to handle ratio is good. You can see that tip just kind of hides in there, and you can see the way the backspacer comes down. There's really not much more room they could have added here. So I think they did a good job there. The satin hardware is really nice on this. I love this all satin look. And then you have the belt satin here and the horizontal up here. Just really looks good. The swedge is just gnarly. Yeah, it's a crazy boy, for sure. So that's aesthetics. Ergonomics are good. You know, you have a relatively small choil up here, but it does work. And the reason it works is because when you use a choil, you choke back. I mean, at least I do. I choke like this, and I kind of pull back with my fingers. So I'm not coming at it on this angle where I'm going to hit that edge, right? But if you have meaty fingers, this might be a little too small. I mean, I'm already basically on the edge. But the way that I cut and the things I cut, it doesn't matter. I'm kind of backed up, and I'm not going to go cutting myself or anything. But I could see somebody having a problem with that. This grip back here works fine too. I can fit all 4 fingers back here comfortably. I would never do this because I just feel weird when I have a choil not using it, and this feels really good. Jimping all the way up, normal EMP style, and lands right here for my thumb. Very well done. If I had to nitpick a little bit on the ergos, I'd say when I bear down like this, I feel this a little bit because of how small that choil is, but it's a pretty big nitpick because it is very comfortable. In hand, the clip, very flat, right-handed. I don't feel any corners or sharp edges. It's all knocked down. Feels really good in the hand. I did not cut anything with this, so I have no feedback on that. It feels very sharp. It's got the 2 angles. You obviously have a short hollow grind. Let's just cut paper and we can... I mean, it's not going to tell us too much, but... yeah, I mean, pretty much what I expect, which is, you know, it obviously feels a little bit thick, you know, because you have a 3.5 millimeter stock, and then you have a short grind right here. Obviously, that's going to add up to it not being a super slicer. It's not going to feel like the Nimble X V2 where you have a full hollow grind with a nice tall grind. This is going to slice way better than this. The stock is similar, probably the same, not sure. This could be 3.2, this could be 3.5, I'm not sure, but it's close. But you can see the difference in the grind height and everything, and that makes a big difference. But this knife, if you want a super slicer kind of deal, get a Nimble, right? But if you want something that's aggressive, gnarly, and kind of more tactical, then here you go. You also have that kind of like flat end up here you could use for stuff. And you have a very aggressive Tanto tip, so you can use that really well as like a utility blade. It's basically a warnie to here, right? And you could just use that, cut into boxes safely and stuff like that. So I think it's very cool. You know, and I didn't talk about in ergonomics, if you're in a reverse grip, you kind of have a guard down here and you have a landing spot right here. So if you're doing your Friday night gas station run to 7-Eleven, you got your Slurpee, somebody messes with you, you whip out the Ronin, they're in trouble, you know? I mean, I don't think if I saw this come out of somebody's pocket, I would be entering that arena. I'd probably be running. But if somebody didn't, you know, you got a really nice tip there for doing damage. And then you got another one right here for slashing or whatever. I'm not an expert on that, but that sounded cool. So it works in tactical situations if needed, based on my extremely non-existent experience in tactical situations or self-defense. So please understand that that was all a joke. All right, moving on. So that was cutting. You know, it's not going to be the best cutter ever, but it's going to be a good EDC knife. Could work in a tactical situation, and I think it would cut open some boxes really well. So I'm down with the cutting. The carry we talked about already works good. No problem there. Obviously doesn't reverse to lefty, and I feel like it could have pretty easily. Like, you look at that. I don't know if the angle of the clip might not work. It might have went the wrong way, I guess. Well, it would have came. Yeah, I think it would have worked, honestly. So I'm not sure. I mean, I guess it's just because you're going to have this little cutout there's probably a cutout under here, yeah, that it sits into. They didn't want that over here, but it kind of is a shame because you have the same screws here and here, you know. Construction-wise, something I just noticed is it's different than most nimbles. I don't know how the relative was constructed because I haven't handled one yet, but 2 screws back here and the pivot. 2 screws, pivot, right? On a nimble, you usually have another screw right here, which, you know, kind of cements things. And I usually like that for stability. See, you have that extra screw right there, and that's on all nimbles. Doesn't matter what size. Don't think it makes a difference, but just want to point it out. It's a difference. Cutting carry sounds. So depending on your ability to flick things, the sounds are going to be different. But normal acoustics on a reverse flick, very good. I mean, I'd give it a 7. It's not like absolutely out of this world, but it's definitely not average. It's very good. Yeah, so the sounds are good. Action / fidget factor. That's where I'm going to be honest. I did not think that I would enjoy this knife. For 2 reasons. It looks very righty biased. It does not look like it would work left-handed. Very thin frame lock, right? Like, how are you going to be able to reverse flick this lefty? Is it going to be fun? And then just the way the hole is kind of tucked away. I just expected it not to be as fidgety as, again, let me grab its brother here. You know, the Nimble X V2 here. I didn't expect it to be as fidgety as one of these guys. And it's not because, you know, it's lacking some of that access to the hole. And it's obviously lacking a deployment method. My secondary deployment method is on a Nimble is always the flipper tab. I enjoy a good flipper tab. The front flipper is my least favorite deployment method on, you know, any knife really. I don't mind them. I have some dedicated ones, but it's not my primary thought. So I just didn't expect it to be as fidgety, but right-handed, you can get right in there and pop that reverse flick. No problem. Feels basically as good as any Nimble I've had. And then the front flipper is actually super satisfying and cool. Like, it's different. Because it sticks up so high, you get such good leverage on it. And normally I'm not a fan of these kind of like friction folder looking front flippers. Not my style at all. But I don't know. It just works here. You get a really good grip on it and it just fires out, pops open. You can just get it like, so you can either get it like this or you just rest your thumb and pop back, right? You can get it sideways and pop back. You can just roll your index finger. It is the easiest. I mean, I know there's some people watching who can attest to my inability to roll flick knives. You know, Preston, if you're watching, let the people know. I can't do this well, and I am absolutely crushing this right now. I mean, look at that. I could do this all day. I'm not even looking at the camera right now. Bang, right? So that tells you something right there. I can never do it left-handed. Look at that. I didn't even test that. I never even try. It's harder because you don't have a clip, by the way. It's one of the main reasons. But there you go. I can even do it left-handed. And then the leftability on this knife is actually really good because even though you don't have a clip, you can get the side here and kind of rest your hands in. And you have so much flipper tab to work with that it just feels confident. I don't feel like I'm going to drop this because I'm using the front flipper without a clip. Like, it just works. And then the reverse flick, even though you have that thin frame lock, it works. It's not an issue flicking it even with the frame lock. So, I mean, it just works really well, at least on this prototype. There is like a spot where you can lock it up, like right here. Well, see, there you go. Can't even lock it up there. And you can easily just rest on the pivot and kind of give it a side flick. If you wanted to come down to the clip, then it's awkward. I'll give you that. Or whoever. But if you just go right here, bang. And it adds a little of the detent, honestly. and feels chang, and I got plenty of room in there to do it. Thumb flick is, you know, not happening for me, right? Left-handed or right-handed, really. You could probably slow roll. Yeah, this is kind of stuff I don't even try, but it's fidgety, guys. And then closing action is pretty standard EMP stuff. Really good. Just swing down and then shake it, right? I will admit the flipper tab can be a little bit of a pain when it comes to that, because you have to get out of the way. I'm so used to just dropping knives like this. You have to back up so that flipper tab clears. That would be one of my gripes on the knife, is that long flipper tab lends itself to being a pain to close, because you catch it like that. But you get used to it when it's your knife. Another con for me is the handle width. Now, I'll admit that it's a lot better than I expected. When I first saw this knife in renders and whatnot, I expected it to look out of place in real life. Like the Nimble W, just to me, proportionally blade to handle, it just doesn't work for my brain, right? Great knife, just doesn't work for me. And this was giving me the same vibes. And honestly, in person, it is not nearly as bad as I expected. It's really not that bad, but you can see how this is a thicker area down here. And then when you open it up, it looks great open. It's just, I don't know, something about it, the way the blade like dips down. They did a really good job though hiding that. And yeah, I don't know how else you would have done it. I mean, you could have kept the handle thin straight to the back, and then you just would have had some sticking out, but you got to hide that tip. So yeah, I think they did a really good job with that. I just think it's an inevitable thing that you're going to notice. And for me, I do notice it. I don't know if it's really a negative though. I just talked myself out of that one. Anything else? Let's take a look at this plunge grind and whatnot. I mean, look at all that space there. I mean, there shouldn't be any issue. I think it's fine, but I can't get a good eye on it. Looks like maybe the plunge ends like right here. So I think you have some space there, but it's really hard to tell. And, you know, again, not a huge factor to me, but I know a lot of you guys care. We have an internal stop pin, so that stop pin travels. It's part of the blade. We have what looks like 5mm 1/16 bearings. You have dead nut centering, and you have a laner pin. Never noticed that. So overall, I really like it. I think it's awesome, and I'm glad I got to check one out. That's how I feel about it. So these are coming out soon again. Pre-orders coming in, and then they'll do a drop like they usually do. I assume that's what's happening. If you guys are interested, definitely pick one up. I think it's cool. I'm kind of tempted to pick one up myself in, you know, if he did the bronze with the satin, that would be absolutely sick. But we'll see what ends up happening. I need to get my hands on a relative first, but there you go. And Best Tech always does a good job. They're pricey, man, but they do a good job. So, yeah, that's it. That's it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Shout out to EMP. Thank you for sending this my way. I will pass this around along with the Nimble X V2. These sold out on their drop in a day and a half, which is to be expected, which is awesome. So these two are going to go around and get reviewed by some folks. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Links down below to EMPEDC. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will catch you later.